Hey, it's BOJ, welcome back to... Oh my gosh!
I've been hearing the same for the past week, so it's not really...
When did I tell you about it?
Ages ago.
Shut this guy out! Telling this guy.
It's BOJ, welcome back to Classroom Convos. This episode we're just going to kind of rewatch the past episodes and see our reactions now, what we think now, we think the same thing, etc, etc. So.
How skinny Dammy used to be.
So are you saying that?
These are good to do or something?
It's just like you have like two children, unless one's obviously maybe a bit like, but one's able and disabled. Like you would help the disabled one a lot more, you know what I mean, to get them up.
Can we just call black people disabled?
What do you think about that though?
What do you mean?
What he said?
I agree with him, we're just a weird analogy. It's a kind of a weird analogy. So,
Marxist point of view, they would argue that that's what they would call the myth of meritocracy. So it's part of like apparently they believe that
Marxism,
so it's like ideologies that the bourgeoisie have kind of seeped
Come
into
on.
the working class, where it's like this idea that no, if you work hard, you get there.
Yeah.
Basically, the perfect example is the American dream. If you work hard, you get there.
Might look so bored. No, I'm listening.
Slaves back then, would they approve of our sort of victimization, considering the struggles that they went through? That doesn't invalidate your experiences, but at the same time, look at that.
Did she say that? Oh man. I'm telling you, remember.
Catches everything.
So, are you saying merit's the most important thing?
It is.
Yeah, you are. Okay, can I play devil's advocate? Because I actually agree with you, okay? So, if you were in the USA when Obama was going to be elected, you had Obama, who was black, and then you had another candidate.
What Dan said was really interesting about whether if Obama was white and in 2008, would you still have voted for him? Personally, I would have, because
You would have.
I would have.
Okay.
Just because I feel like he's still a Democrat, he still has the same policies. Just because he was black doesn't mean that I wasn't going to vote for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just curious to ask you, because I know you're conservative.
Yeah.
Would you be a Republican if you lived in America? Yeah.
Do you think?
I don't know.
Because
America's different though.
Even in America, they're like,
because the Democrats are more right.
they're more right.
Yeah.
So
It's a bit
It's not a direct parallel.
more like UKIP. It's similar views in terms of like, laws on immigration.
That's
for
why I did
example,
that,
stuff
so I would
like
never
that.
say I'm UKIP, so that's why I couldn't go that far.
Yeah.
Last year I would have said I wouldn't have voted for Obama, but I think I would
Fair
if
dues.
it was
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Hillary versus Obama on who's going to represent the party, and my RS teacher was like, as a black woman, like, would I rather Obama, first black person, or Hillary, first woman? I'm just going to ask you guys the
I was
question.
gonna say though, what do you consider yourself first?
At first.
Mad.
Why are you doing this?
That's what I
I'm
was
not
like.
gonna lie. I don't actually know. Like, I think it actually depends on my setting. In here, I'm a woman because everyone's black.
Yeah, that's
Obviously.
understandable.
So when you see like news stories or things about that like anti-feminism or like inequality, like gender or like race, what like gets
Gets
like,
me
reaction out
race
of you?
really.
Race.
pisses
I
me
think
off.
I would say I'm black before I would say I'm a woman. Yeah, I just because if I'm in a space, I notice I'm the only black person before I notice I'm the only girl.
She
Do
said.
you know what I mean? Like that's the first thing.
Actually, that's a really good point.
I
Yeah.
also say I'm black before I'm a woman.
Yeah.
What?
I guess it's easier to observe to some extent. Because,
Oh, I see.
like, because the fact that you're black is sort of, it's a very noticeable
Yeah.
difference.
I
to,
hear that.
Like, say
fair.
being in a room with.
Okay, but for example, think about like
women.
an Asian woman, for example, where it might be less obvious to say, or like someone that's not like where the contrast is not. You know what I'm trying to say?
Exactly. Yeah, no, I see what you mean.
Well, it's pretty clear that you're a woman, so I don't.
Me.
No.
Is it?
No, but I'm just saying like, you're saying that being black is noticeable, but like in like majority of cases, it's pretty clear to see.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, that's true.
Whether you guys think that society or people within society hold racial prejudice or being more misogynistic?
Racial prejudice.
I thought that racial prejudice, I guess you don't want to say racism, is just so so yeah,
right.
that's the word.
Right.
In society is wild.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
I feel like on an individual, personal basis, racial prejudice probably trumps it. But then societal, I might have to go for just sexism and pure sexism because, for example, like having female doctors is still laughable to some people. Female boxers, like, but then you're not gonna necessarily say, oh, a black doctor, and think. But then obviously there are some people that refuse to get treated by black doctors.
Yeah.
So
Have you watched
you
that
know,
real
die
life
then.
Have you heard that story? So essentially, there's been a car crash and a son and a father. The father's died.
A son and his father are in a horrible car accident, right? The father dies on impact, and the son, who's severely injured, is rushed to hospital. The surgeon looks at the son when they arrive and is like, I can't operate. Why? The boy is my son. How can that be? Ladies and gentlemen, the surgeon is his mother. Now, hands up, and it's okay, but hands up if you initially assumed the surgeon was a guy.
I know it sounds so obvious now.
What?
But I riddle.
I've heard that riddle
No, guys,
before.
I can't explain it, but like genuinely, like I remember someone has told me, and I've been like, oh my, okay, I was like,
Yeah.
3.
So, like, I've had that riddle as well. I think like, it was kind of BS. Like,
Is that what
I mean, no, because, just because of the fact that you've already brought up the dad, so in your head.
No, but think, but the fact that it can even be a riddle shows that it actually has.
Yeah.
People do fumble at that.
You're trying to say that you could never think about the fact that it could be a female.
It's not
doctor
that. It's
or
not that. It's like, so when someone says it's a mum, you're like, oh, of course it is.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't you think like it
Yeah.
should be?
But
Because you've
Sorry,
already
it should
said,
be
like
because
black
you've
or
already,
white.
because it's a technical thing. You've already said a father and a son. That's all you've got in your head. If you
Literally, in my diversity training, the guy said, I'm the first person, he's done it for years, and I'm the first person to say that it's the mum, and that more people are willing to accept that. Shut up, man. And more people are willing to accept that it's a gay couple than a female surgeon, which is wild.
That's crazy.
And to be fair, I feel like it's one of the ones where like it's even like subconscious. So when I think, so like in law, like when they say like a judge's name, like I never, and it's so bad. I have to check myself. I never think it's a woman because most of them are men. So like I was in my seminar pro, and it was one of the judges. And I was looking, and I saw she said that, and I was like, oh, it's a she. Like, and I was surprised.
Yeah.
Why was I surprised?
Oh, they made a typo.
No, I'm saying no.
I'm still not
That's
convinced by the riddle.
I guess.
What's not convincing you? I
Like,
don't understand.
I know, as in, I understand why. Like, I understand that. Okay, obviously, people aren't going straight to the assumption that it's like the mum or whatever.
That's the
But
problem.
But I'm not gonna. But I don't just attribute it. I don't just attribute it to the fact that like a person can never think of a woman as a female doctor. I think it's the way you it's the way you set up the riddle.
That's the
I don't
purpose
think
of the
like
riddle, to make
No.
make you think, oh, it can never be a woman. That's the purpose of
No,
it.
but-
And you're saying that they bring
No.
up the dad, so you only have it in your head. But yeah, that is the point of it.
No, but
and if
my-
you don't think it's a woman, then you're being obtuse rather than the riddle itself, I'd say.
How do I don't feel like I'm getting my point across. It's not so much the fact that
Jeez. I use that word
Yeah,
since I was primary.
I'm just not
Is it
convinced.
because you yourself would instantly think it's a woman? And that
Pardon?
would you, if somebody told you that, you're instantly gonna think it's a woman, right? Or are you gonna think, what's going on?
No,
here?
I wouldn't. It's to do with the structure of the riddle.
Right. Do you think if they said there was a mom and the son in the car crash, and then they would be like, oh, like I can't treat this, it's my son? Do you think that people would be like, oh, it's the dad, or they'll be equally as confused? And if not, then that's the problem.
Because I don't think people would be
People would be
confused.
people.
wouldn't
They
be
wouldn't say the dad.
They won't think
They won't-
laterally. They'll think because, like, to be fair, as you said, it's like sort of way the riddle set up because of the fact you mentioned the dad.
Father
Yeah.
and son.
They
In
instantly
my
go
head, those
straight
are the
back.
only two characters.
Yeah,
Just-
they were rather than thinking
Like
outside of the
emoji.
box and thinking, okay, wait.
I hear that.
But then I get
Yeah.
her point
But
though, that when people say a mum and a son, I highly doubt.
I wouldn't even be
won't
thinking
know.
another dad, I was
But I
thinking,
don't
huh?
think that people would know.
That's I don't think people
I don't even be thinking another guy. I'd be
But
like,
like,
huh?
if someone said, like I said, like the mom and the son, people would be like, even though it's just a mom and son in the story, it's just those two characters, you
Yeah.
would think the dad. Facts. I think that they do it more subtly, women, but more obviously race. So like, you wouldn't be. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. But then also, but race is also very under like.
No, of course, no, 100%.
Yeah.
I feel like women is more, it's even more subtle,
Yeah.
or it's more like, you know.
Everything is relative, but at the same time, for example, like when you're younger, you don't want to finish your vegetables. It can Yeah, it can spur you on. So I think there's two levels to it. Like there is a level that everything is relative, but there's also the fact that like be grateful for the situation you're in. Like eat your vegetables.
I've just got a question for the ladies in this room. Do you feel like when you're discriminated against, do you think you can always gauge whether it's because you're black, whether it's because you're a woman, or because you're a black woman? Like, can you
like
always kind of like
intersectionality?
I
love it. I live for it.
I
think it depends on the situation. It depends. Do you know what I mean? Like because obviously if it's like a white woman shouting at me, then I'm pretty sure it's because I'm black.
Yeah. But if it's just a white guy.
A white guy. It depends on context.
You literally, stupid black woman. Like literally, some people can take both aspects of your character.
No, I understand, but I'm just saying, like in your head, like, because obviously for like me, I'm like if I get discriminated against, I'm pretty sure I know why. Like, do you get what I mean? True, this is correct. But like, as a black woman, you actually like always know why. Like, can you like attribute it to something basically?
I think you can attribute it to something, but I don't think you can always like separate your attributions, if you get what I mean. Because like the world is so intersectional, multiple things can be affecting you at once. So
I think a new formulation on this question, which might actually put it to bed straight away, is who is better off in society, white women or black men? Because then you could argue that black men are underpinned because of race, white women are underpinned because of sex. If white women have the upper hand, then it would be race that.
It's just like asking who's more oppressed.
Yeah, effectively.
A lot of the time, African Caribbean communities will say that there's something wrong with the individual without appreciating that the individual is typically responding to what's happening around them. It makes it.
Don't kill me!
Hey.
No! I think an eradication of religion will help.
No! Okay, wait. Down!
I wasn't ready!
The private jet.
Can we not do names? Can we actually not do names, please? You said something quite interesting 2 seconds ago. The use of the private jet.
The private jet, yes, or for like his ministry. So I said like if the pastor's, let's say, daughter needed to fly to Paris for whatever reason, if she couldn't use the jet, then it's not his. It's like he's using that in his capacity as a pastor to go around and preach whatever to different churches, because they do often need to like go travel around the world. It's not for his personal, like, oh, I want to go to the Bahamas and use my jet. Like that's different.
Yeah,
if it's not registered in his name, then it's not his, it's the church's.
Yeah, but even if it is why does a church need a private jet?
Because literally, like I just said, they literally go around, they travel around the world each Sunday. Like my pastor, he goes around the world preaching.
I was gonna say,
it's still cheaper.
It's still cheaper.
Do you know
what's wrong with that?
Even if he gets a business class ticket, it's still better than having a private jet.
But most of the time, like wealthy businessmen donate the money to the church and donate the money to this, and then you're like, okay, fine, let's use it in a way that can whatever, like make things easier. I don't think that's a problem with that.
Like when there's a lot of people in congregations that aren't doing well, I just think it's a bit sideways that the pastor's in a private jet. Or the pastor
but it's not as if he's in a private jet and then he's
and if we're even using the fact that it's the churches, that makes it even worse.
Why?
Because that's not even his money, that's the church's money.
No, but he's not
going to the Bahamas to enjoy his life. He's literally going to another church to preach. I don't think, obviously, at the moment that he does use it for his own benefit, then obviously that's wrong. But he's using it to service.
My point is, okay, if he's using it personally, I think we both know that's wrong.
Obviously.
Right, but even if it is like just for the church's use, you don't need a private jet. You literally don't need it.
And I agree.
It's so excessive.
It is an
It's so excessive.
It's just like the man then.
Exactly.
That one's
You don't even need to go that far. That's an extreme.
Because you can equate it, because what they do at is prosperity preaching. So they say, look, if you do what I do, you can have a Bentley like me. This is almost inspiration to
But that's not what they can do.
Yeah, but you're saying you can, because you're saying that they take the plane to go and preach the word of God. You're not saying you can't. They're not saying you can have this jet like me, but they are still preaching. It's just the preaching is different.
So you can't equate it.
It's a tool of preaching.
It's not as if when the pastor comes off the plane and comes to preach, he's like,
oh
guys, happy Sunday.
Does the private jet enable him to go and preach? Yes.
The Bentley doesn't allow them.
It doesn't enable him, but he doesn't need the private jet to do that. Just like the guy doesn't need the Bentley. They're both using excess to help them preach.
I get the necessity thing that you're using and saying that he doesn't need a private jet, but for example, this church specifically that you're saying is actually so huge that if it was a business, you literally need to be in you need to be in 5 places at once. Like you can fly commercial, but like if it's a thing where literally you need to be in 5 different countries in 2 days, it's not going to be beneficial to fly commercial. And also the Bentley thing is you can't compare someone using a private jet to literally run their operations more smoothly and someone saying, follow me and then get a Bentley. Did you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that we're not saying that they use the private jet as prosperity preaching, but it is a tool to make them help preach, isn't it? They don't need a private jet to go and visit 5 countries. They can fly commercial. They choose not to because it's easier, allegedly.
No, because
he doesn't need a Bentley. He doesn't need a Bentley to preach, saying you can be like me. But it helps him. It's easier.
For me, it's not even so much. I don't think pastors should be suffering or something. Church gets in a lot of money. I don't even think. What's going on?
So I don't want to put my foot in people's faces.
So okay, the church has a lot of money, right? But and I don't think pastors should be suffering by any means. I don't think they should be living on the breadline. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying I know how big that church in particular is. I've grown up in that church as well, but you don't need a private jet to get around. Most executives of businesses do not fly around in a private jet. Maybe some do, but the majority of them don't. And to be honest, I don't even really like the comparison to a business because it's not a business. It's a charity. In the official term, churches are they're charities.
But it's only to run as a
but
business.
so some charities, some
I said it needs to run like a business.
Some charities,
being
NGOs, looking
also,
like Oxfam, big
exactly.
NGOs. They're still they're organisations, maybe not a business, but an organisation.
Also, we're not saying that every single pastor in that church flies around the private jet. By no means, no, they do. I've seen my pastor on irregular flights before. It's literally just I feel like if let's say he has an important, let's say when we have those big festivals where he has to be there. He doesn't want to take the chance of, let's say, it being delayed or whatever he has to be. No, I'm not saying, I'm literally just saying, it's not as if they use it every single time. I'm just saying that I don't think that if someone donates a private jet to the church, which I feel like people actually do, then straight back, no, we don't want it.
And on that point, don't get me wrong, there are pastors out here that are literally...
Yeah, then that's wrong, yeah.
But the reason why I literally just, on this particular guy, is because I know there are people who have given him gifts that he's returned and donated the money to charity. He's not the kind of person that is living an excess life, and don't get me wrong, he can, he's at the level where he can, and he's still quite a humble geezer. If someone gave me a Ferrari, I'm not returning. What the am I returning that?
I agree. Your pastor may be very altruistic. He may actually be a good person. Whoever's pastor this might be, and his organisation may be helpful. But the argument here that I think AJ is also making is that it is excessive, and the church doesn't need to be in excess to do what they need to do.
Okay,
and that's partly why I can't it doesn't sit right with me. Obviously, I'm not comparing the two and saying that they're the same type of church, but churches in general often have what I would consider too much, whilst the people that they're trying to help don't have as much, and that to me is inherently an issue.
Balance. And I've been watching Greenleaf a lot, all the underhand stuff and stuff like that, and I just think, I think you someone said it on the episode, positions of power really just come with responsibility, but also the opposite as well.
Power corrupt.
I'm very happy with the church spending money to keep their building, keep their... You have to pay your pastor,
drive in a nice car and have a nice house. I don't even have an issue with that. Honestly, I don't.
It's not even the bare minimum.
He's done. And the person in question has done a lot. But you don't need a private. You don't.
Yeah.
You
I
just
just
don't.
don't think
Like,
that.
I hear it.
For me,
But things, I think, you know what, he would agree with you. I don't think he says I would need a private jet. Like, I don't think like, oh, I must have a private jet. I think it's just literally like, do you know what I'm trying to say? I don't think you'd be like, oh, I'm so big
but
of
the
that.
church owned one.
And
Like,
humans
they
are
own
inherently
one. You
greedy.
don't need
He's
to
always
own
going
it.
to want more.
That's what I'm saying.
Even
This
if
guy
he's
in
a man of
particular,
God.
like this guy in particular, will do things to like purposely like undo that, because I know a lot of churchgoers worship their pastors, like, and it's effed up. Like, I remember one time, literally even in our church, a guy came to church with a Bentley. This isn't a pastor, this is literally a congregation member with a Bentley, and the guy, people were like bending over the guy. That made me feel sick. Like, I actually felt physically. They were literally like bending over the guy, get him a parking space. Someone had to unpark their class and force guys to parking. Look, you chose to come to church with a Bentley. If your Bentley gets bumped into today, it does, because you chose to come and
you came
and
so park in the back of the makeup spot. You get you make a park in that place. You have to walk.
What do they call it? What do they even call it? I don't know what they call it. I think that churches are they're a bit of a sticky one. And like, I actually don't really love the church as an institution. To be completely honest with you, like, I don't want to be all spiritual. Like, just like the core principles is what I pride myself in. I just feel like someone like Kanye has always been a loose wire. Like, not a lot of people just come out and say George Bush hates black people, or jump on stage with Taylor Swift. So like, that's why I was just a bit confused when people were like, he's our voice and like he's our only voice, because the guy's always kind of just, I feel anyway, always kind of been about Kanye. So even if what he's saying may help, the way he goes about it has always been very reckless, has always been very like loose, and I don't think he's ever been or portrayed himself as a stable guy. So just in terms of what you're saying, I think there's a mismatch there in terms of what he's saying and in terms of what people expect of him.
So to echo what you literally just said there,
what was that?
About how Kanye doesn't know how to say things when he's speaking, but he's still trying to make like a kind of point. Like, it's a mismatch. So basically,
no, that's not quite what I said.
I want you to explain what you said then.
His whole like message with the like MAGA hat was that uniting both sides and like, you know, encouraging people to have a different opinion. If someone said that, like, that's a good thing, that's a good concept, but the way he went about it was poor. That's what I said.
Okay, I know. I'm just going to echo that with what I'm going to say. So he literally did that exact same thing 6 months later when he was talking about R. Kelly, etc. So he was caught on camera out of context, basically saying that.
Was that what he was tweeting about?
He was tweeting about it, how he was basically like, oh, they're going to get me out of here just like they did R. Kelly, blah, blah, blah. Watch, soon you're going to have an MJ documentary just like they did R. Kelly. But now it kind of looked like he was supporting R. Kelly. But from what he was saying was basically, artists, like, he's basically trying to say that cancel culture is a bit weird and shaky, but who he used as an example made it seem so sort of like,
it just completely invalidates what he's saying, because of like, R. Kelly as an example right now is so dumb, and like Donald Trump as an example for uniting people, like, you could have gone the other way, like how he tweeted, he was wearing that girl, March for Our Lives, Emma, I think her name is Emma.
School shooting people.
Yeah, he was wearing a t-shirt with her face on it and his MAGA hat, like, you know, I'm supporting both sides, or uniting both sides. So I think that he is a very provocative person. You know, he likes to like deal with extremes, but I think,
I feel like
I disagree. Personally, I do disagree.
I have two things to say. I feel like, one, the thing about that he's saying that okay stuff, just saying it in the wrong way. I feel like even that itself is not a poor argument, but it's like, okay, animal, but like, because in this one, half, like, I can't, like, the way you say things is half as important as what you say. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, you could have a great speech delivered in a bad way and no one actually cares. And it's like, you can't use R. Kelly as an example in this time when so many people like, that is not okay.
I agree with that.
And the whole, even his whole thing of uniting the two sides, I think that's in itself is a very stupid thing to do, because both sides can't be united. They're not compatible.
I don't think it's in terms of uniting, but like conversation between people who disagree. People these days are really afraid to disagree. Like, that's the problem. This is why like there's always like beef, because people want everyone to think the way that they think, and people aren't going to think the way that they think. So I don't think it is stupid to want to like unite both sides in the sense that like, let's sit down and have a conversation. And also, it may, like, I get what you're saying about like and what that's the way he says things, but I'm trying to say that it's constant.
I didn't say animal. Even that itself is not a poor argument, but it's like, okay, animal, but like, animal, I'm just saying that like half, like
50-50.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure I agree with that. Sometimes, for example, if somebody, I know obviously Kanye is in this, but if your life's in danger and I'm screaming at you saying, wake the hell up or blah blah blah, somebody might not like the fact that I'm shouting at them. My delivery isn't really what they want, but it's going to help them. So I think sometimes we actually do need to take the message out of the way it's delivered and sort of accept that some people don't necessarily know how to deliver things in the way that we all want them to.
But it's one of the ones where like that if I care that way, the ones when he has if he wanted to deliver things in the right way, he could. He has access to people and things that can help him package his message in a way that, you know, would be normal or whatever. And he could, but he doesn't care.
Exactly, he's authentic.
I feel like, at least you kind of read too deep into Kanye's message. I don't think he really has one, to be honest with you. You're almost giving him too much credit. Like him wearing the MAGA hat with the t-shirt of Emma. Right, I don't think that was because he wants to unite people. I think that's just because that will stir a controversy. He just wants attention. That's the truth. I mean, the thing is with him is like, okay, fair enough. He's always kind of jumped on political issues, but it's always been through the lens of himself. Like you can clearly see, he doesn't really care about these issues. It's just almost like a medium to just promote himself.
I just disagree though, because that's what I'm saying. Literally before like Twitter, before all of this stuff, like that is one thing that has been constant. Him jumping on stage with Taylor Swift did not help him in any way, shape or form. The guy was demonized by like the media for years. Like that's not helping.
Isn't that thing about like all publicity is good publicity?
Yeah, but I don't know. Like you can take it any way you want it, but like
it's true. Like because not everyone knows that.
Everyone knows
that.
Kanye, because like, even if you don't know him for his music, you know he's the guy who ran up on stage and cut Taylor Swift.
He's always been like that. He's always tried to stand out. He's always tried to be provocative. It's just in a different way now.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that.
Bigger, much more important.
I agree with you on that.
Even when he started rapping, exactly. The whole backpack rapper thing. He was clearly just trying to be different.
But what if he's not trying to be different? What if he is different? Literally, if you look at him as a package with his music and like what he says and what he does, like as a package, his whole thing is like, you know, changing the scene, etc. Like you can't deny the impact that he has had musically. Anyway, this is why I really want to get into this, because you're always going to think that he's seeking attention. I think that it could potentially be deeper than that.
So
like,
because I know you don't agree with me, but like I honestly just see him as like this. He's a bit like a narcissist, and he's always kind of, because he just shouts so loud, he says his message so like prominently. He has like a group of fans who just always kind of agree with him or try and like
Stats.
Or not even so much stands, or like what they'll do is he'll say something and then they'll kind of like attribute their own opinions onto it and say this is what he means.
Yeah.
This is what he means. Like you always have to explain.
You say that about anything though.
True. You can say that about other things, but with him it's so evident. If someone else has to always kind of explain your actions to justify them consistently, like.
He's narcissistic.
Someone with a bit of a god complex.
Jeffrey does have a god complex. Sorry, what?
I was literally going to say what you're saying. Like he is flawed, he is narcissistic, but that doesn't necessarily mean that his intentions aren't pure when he does things like say George Bush doesn't care about black people because he actually didn't follow in Hurricane Katrina. He didn't do much to help them. So you can say that he's all these things, but it doesn't necessarily equate to why he's doing what he does all the time, at least.
I feel like people like ignore the whole mental thing, and that goes on to this topic as well. Pete Davidson, for example, after his breakup with Ariana was suicidal, blah blah blah, people clown it. Like people clown mental health issues when it's like with someone on a bigger platform, until it gets to a point where like there's a breakdown and then people are like, oh wait, yeah, oh no, like pray for this person, pray for this. If someone's clowning me like all my life for having like mental health issues and I suddenly have a breakdown and you're praying, don't.
I'm not even, I guess I'm not even like angry at it, but for me I just see it for what it is. Like I just kind of think
to you.
Yeah, I'm at least for what I think it is anyway. I just kind of see narcissism, but hey, we're not gonna agree on that one. So
Just that fine line between intention and interpretation.
Yeah, no more.
It's only 5 minutes in.
I don't understand what she's done for the empowerment of women in terms of when we're talking about physicality, when we're talking about the way women perceive themselves. I don't really see what's that great that's been done. And in that sort of situation, I would say there is a level of responsibility, but Kim K has shown herself multiple times that she does not want that responsibility. So stop asking her to come and be on this platform and to be this person that needs to be accountable for the things she does. When she's told you she don't want to be accountable for the things she does, there's no universal standard, which is saying that if you want to be an influencer, you have to be this level of good, and that is her image of like false perfection, whatever you want to call it.
So I think
that's what she wants to bring.
Just replying to what Danielle said, I remember that the story came out about like, is we done?
Yeah.
I think so.
It's Phil OJ and you've just watched Classroom Convos with us. I say that in English.
No one's saying it.
Who are you?
I'm the
Guys, everyone say pastor.
Pastor.
Now I'm gonna think pastor.
You're saying pastor. You're saying pastor.
You made me the pastor over there. Oh,
pastor. Pastor. Yeah, pastor. Pastor. Somebody say pastor. That's pastor. I say pastor. Pastor. Okay, because I'm black, then sometimes maybe you're
I don't even know what I said. I was just there leaning it.
You get the London filter. Yeah. Could you appear on the London story on Snapchat?
Yeah.
Have you appeared on the London story?
No, put my shit on there.
Too bad.
What's wrong with you?
What is wrong with she?
Basically,
You're gonna have to get it when you don't let me go. Like,
That was so sexy.
Just didn't get better as well.
probably not.
no, now we're
Down
all
as well, man.
Yes.
I'm like, where? Is everyone here talking about hands?
Yeah, I definitely
Yeah, I don't talk about hands. I don't think I talk. Hi guys.